Here we go, here we go. We are live. Welcome if you're playing along live. Otherwise, welcome. Just going to check my channel here, make sure I'm streaming all good. I'm going to do a little live react for you this morning. React to some articles. If you're on the live, say hi. And I will, I'll react. If you want to send me something, I will happily react for you. Send me anything on the internet. You can actually send stuff to ask.peter.tv. I'm pretty sure that link still works. And yeah, I'll get that. If not on this channel, then maybe on a. If not on this one, then maybe on a future one. All right, cool. I've got my stream up. Rock and roll. Here we go. I'm going to react to some live articles for you. I've got about 20-ish minutes to do that, so let's go ahead and jump right in. My team are just basically sending me articles, so I'm going to jump in and react to them. Let me share my screen here, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Oh, this one's on Instagram. All right, well, I hope this works. We'll see, I guess. Oh, okay. So reacting to, this is a nice little post here from apparently from the founder Phil Knight of Nike. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but let's assume that it is. And let me give you my thoughts on it. Our businesses change. We're on a fence all the time. Perfect results count, not perfect process. Is much about the battle as it is the business. Yada yada. I'll let you pause and you can watch those. Here's what I think about this. I really like that Nike know who they are, know who they're here to serve, and know what is important to bond them together culturally as a company. That's the most important thing for you to know inside a business as you're leading a team and as you're leading your crew of people and your cult of people, because culture is about cult, right? And companies are basically just little cults and little tribes. What this lets you do, if you know your values and you espouse your values and you live your values and you attract people based on your values, what it allows you to do is to build a team that are actually going to be well connected to your values. They're going to espouse your values as well, and that's going to keep you connected as a cult. If you're loose with that, then you're going to be loose with your execution. Because if you're someone who values punctuality and someone else on the team doesn't value punctuality, and there's no right or wrong, someone on the team may value creativity over punctuality, but you're probably not going to get along in what you're trying to get done. Or you're going to find that you're going to have challenges with your conflicts of values. So being clear on your values and being clear about who you are and being clear about the kind of people that you want in your company and who are a good fit for your values as a founder or for the values that you think will serve the company best is going to do well for you. There you go. I like that. Cool. All right. What do I like about these? Let me see if there's any in particular that I like. Perfect results count, not a perfect process. That's very interesting. Perfect results, not a perfect process. I like that. Break the rules, fight the law. That's a good one. Maybe not if you run a, like a flight school and you're teaching people how to fly aircraft. Break the rules is probably not a value that you want to have there. It won't be pretty. Yeah, I guess that's fair enough. Like if you're out there trying to change the world and trying to be a leading brand, it's probably not going to be pretty. If we do the right things, we'll make money damn near automatic. That I agree with. I'd say 100% if you just focus on serving people, you will make money automatically. It just happens. If you focus on providing value, if you focus on how can you move other people forward, if you focus on how can you serve the world, serve your community, serve your customers, you'll make money on automatic. That's the best way to approach business for you and for your team as well. So I really like that one. Check these out. If you're a fan of Phil Knight, he's got a great biography. Go ahead and read that if you're interested. All right, let's go on to our next one. Thank you, team. All right. I may as well keep that page open so I don't lose it, huh? All right. Self-made millionaire. All right, let's see if I can open this article first. Self-made millionaire says parents need to stop giving young people terrible life advice. Here are the 5 worst pieces of life advice. Let's have a look at that. All right. Oops. Oh my God, it's going to ask me to disable my ad blocker. Okay, let's do that. Okay, number one, you need a fallback plan. Okay, so is this good advice or is this bad advice? I don't know. Okay, I'm a self-made millionaire. Blah 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 blah. Here's the worst advice that young people should ignore. You need a fallback plan. This is interesting. Well, I don't think having a fallback plan is a terrible idea, personally. Uh, I'm a fan of young people starting businesses, and I'm certainly a fan of young people having a side hustle while you've got something else going on. So, whether that's school or mooching off your parents or having even a job and you're starting something on the side, absolutely there is value in jumping into a new venture full time. But when most people hear that advice, what they actually think is, I should put all of my savings and I should go all in on my new venture. And it does have benefits to go all in on a new venture because you have basically the survival mentality that things must work. But there's only so long you can stay in survival and actually make good strategic decisions. Because after a certain period of time, you start to make decisions based on survival rather than decisions based on medium or long term strategy. And survival is typically short term decisions rather than medium or long term decisions. So I'm okay with like a little bit of that survival energy, but my recommendation is a backup plan is actually pretty good. I like having some kind of backup plan, and if you're a young person looking to start a business, or if you're someone who is not necessarily a young person, maybe you're an old person looking to start a business, having some kind of fallback probably a good idea. But if you can find a way to bring a little bit of that new energy, that's a good thing. What I do see from time to time is entrepreneurs will fail when they have a new venture or a new idea that they want to start and they just never get started because they're too comfortable where they are right now. And so, if you're someone who is comfortable right now, well, maybe you need a little bit of a gentle push from behind to kind of pop you off that cliff. And that might be changing the hours in your current job. It may be changing your situation. It may be, yes, maybe you need to make this business work so you can have enough income to survive. They're the kind of things that, I don't want to see anyone like, on the street in survival mode when they're starting a new venture. But if you've got a little bit of a push, then that's a good thing. Now, a mentor once said to me when I was very young and I was struggling with motivation, Pete, you need to go out there and get yourself a whole lot of debt or get yourself a family so you can be motivated to work on your business. Because at the time when I was talking to him, I said, hey, you know what? Like I've got all these strategies in front of me, but I'm just actually not executing them. So I wonder how you could in your life manufacture potentially some kind of urgency for you to work on going out there and pursuing your dreams. Don't know. Work on it. All right. Cool. Number 2, cut down on your screen time. Screens are the future of work. Right, interesting. You're going to have it. Look, I think this one is pretty basic, to be honest. Yes, we need to work on screens. Yes, we need to work on computers. Yes, you're probably going to be working on a lot of social media if you're working on any kind of new business venture. Yes, content is king, and building a business around organic content is a great way to launch a brand, launch a business, and get exposure for very cheap or even potentially for free. However, I think there is a lot of value in spending a lot of extended time away from screens. Now, myself personally, I like to spend time out in the bush. I take my traveling camper truck and I will go and park myself somewhere, and that is where I do my absolute best creative work. You see, the thing is, when you have the space and the opportunity to remove yourself from sitting in front of your screen doing your work, what it allows you to do is let your creative juices flow. And what that typically looks like for me is whether I'm going for a walk down a beach, or maybe I'm surfing, or maybe I'm spending time with family, or maybe I'm doing something else like a workout outside. What that allows me to do is to just let my brain actually move through all of the subconscious and semi-conscious thoughts that I otherwise wouldn't allow to arise if I'm constantly being stimulated by a screen. And one of the interesting things that I learned as I was studying I think it's called it's not neurobiology, neuroscience. As I was studying neuroscience, what I learned was as you walk, and this works as well if you're driving a car or riding a motorbike, you actually have this kind of reticular activation of your subconscious as there are moving pictures going past your frame, right? So your field of vision here in your periphery will actually allow your brain to process your subconscious thoughts. And if anyone has ever said something like, I'm just going to go for a drive to clear my head, or I'm just going to go for a walk to clear my head, Well, what that is literally doing is activating your subconscious and allowing your thoughts that are maybe not quite dormant to process. And what that does is it helps with memory recall, and it has another number of other health benefits. But what it typically does, if you are an entrepreneur or business owner and you've got a lot of things on your mind and a lot of open loops of things that maybe haven't been resolved, is to resolve those open loops bit by bit. And so I'm really a fan of having no screen time, and I think that yes, screens are necessary for your business and for your ventures. However, scheduling dedicated time and intentional time away from screens is going to be a good benefit to you. All right, look at me contradicting all of these little pointers here. Okay, cool. Don't sweat the small stuff. Partially untrue. Okay, while crippling anxiety should be addressed, not all anxiety is problematic. In fact, studies show the most successful entrepreneurs harness anxiety and make it work for them. They maintain what's called a state of optimal anxiety, balance between having enough anxiety to catalyze focus and improve performance, but not so much as to inhibit excellence. Well, look, I find that pretty interesting. What this reminds me of is a book by Jim Collins, and I think it was called, which one was it? I think it was called Built to Last. Go check that one out if you're interested. Now, the book Built to Last talks about having a sense of anxious urgency and maintaining a sense of what did he call it with Bill Gates? Oh my God, I can't remember it now. My brain is not yet switched on this morning. And here's where I try and remember things live, and I just don't remember it at all. Let me find. I'm gonna Google that and see if I can actually find that one. Built to Last, Bill Gates, Jim Collins concept. Let's see if I can find it. No, I don't even know if it was in that book. Might not have been in Built to Last. It might have been in Discipline with Creativity. No. Ah, it may be Great by Choice. Let's see if it's that one. Ah, yes, Uncertain Times and Chaos. And I can't even find it. I'm going to find it. Productive Paranoia. There we go. Productive Paranoia. Oh my God, we finally found it. So in the book Great by Choice, there's a concept called productive paranoia that Jim Collins says that Bill Gates espoused. And that productive paranoia was effectively making sure that he kept tabs on what his competitors were up to, making sure he kept tabs on what the market forces were that he needed to respond to. And that basically kept the business in check competitively. So my recommendation there is if you are a business owner, I don't want to recommend anxiety for you, but a little bit of, let's say, smart paranoia is going to help you to make sure that you stay productive, but also that you stay competitive, which doesn't necessarily have to mean you squash others to win yourself. But being competitive means that you need to adapt to market forces to ensure that you are still going to be able to be successful in your business and serving your customers. All right, cool. Let's move on to our next one. Go to work at a big, stable company. I love it. This person has basically like created an article out of they've just basically taken all of the basic bitch boomer advice and they basically said, oh, I've got a counterpoint to that one. I've got a counterpoint to that one. Okay, go work at a big, stable company. Why is it a bad idea to work at a big, stable company? According to this person, don't bother. You could start an artificial intelligence business to earn $10,000 a month and then you don't have to worry about the layoffs. I think this is ridiculous advice. Absolutely ridiculous. Here's why. I think there are great benefits to either going to university or working in another business. There are some entrepreneurs who are literally just born with the gift. I consider myself one of them. I was starting businesses in high school, even in primary school, and I didn't really need to go to university. I just wanted to go out and jump into my business because while I was in my final years of high school, I was already making tens of thousands of dollars a year on the side in my side hustle. But for most people, they need to actually learn the skills of what does a business look like and how does it operate? How do the workflows and processes of a business operate? How does the corporate world work? How do you sign up a client? How do you create a pitch presentation? How do you network? How do you operate inside the team culture of a business? All of these things I had to learn the hard way because I didn't go to university and learn how to study and learn how the world works in the university world. And I didn't go and work at a big business, so I never learned how teams worked. I never learned how hierarchy worked. Now, there's been some advantages to me not learning those things, but I think for most people, if you're deciding on the path of entrepreneurship, it's probably a good idea for you to learn how real businesses work. Now, I did have one real job for one small point in time, and that was that I worked for a client for a year in a small business. And in that small business, I basically learned the ropes of how do I pitch a customer, how do I create a presentation, how do I send emails, how do I answer the phone. All those basic things were pretty important for me to learn. And so I think there is certainly value in working for somebody else and using that as an opportunity to kind of cut your teeth while you're on somebody else's dime. It's pretty hard to go and jump into a business full-time by yourself if you haven't had the context of how a business in your industry works or how a business in general works. So I think this one is a bit of a dud advice. Also, I think it should be said that if you are someone who thinks that you can just punch in some numbers or some prompts into AI and automatically build a business that's going to make you $10,000 a month, if you do, you're probably one of the lucky ones. But what that doesn't teach you is the fundamental business skills that you need to build a successful venture. And they only come over time. Just because someone jumps on a push bike and manages to ride down a hill without killing themselves doesn't mean that they're a solid rider. And so for you, you need to actually build your entrepreneurial skills as you're building a business. Very important. Okay, let's look at the fifth one here. Buy a house and settle down. I do think this is terrible advice. Cash is king. Save, preserve as much liquidity as possible if it means renting, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I still don't own the primary residence that I reside in. I have investment properties, but I choose not to spend big chunks of cash on property because my opinion on that is that it is a long-term perspective investment. And if you know anything about property investing, you know that it's usually better to rent where you want to live and invest where you're going to get capital gains. But investing aside, while you're a young person, you probably want to be putting most of your energy and most of your capital either into funding the business or reinvesting in your education, whether it be through mentors, whether it be through networking, whether it be through just participating in courses that are going to help you to increase your skills. While you are young and you have the opportunity to take risks, to be daring, to be bold, while you have the opportunity to potentially fail in big ways and maybe even have to start all over again. Now is a great opportunity to do that rather than to get yourself in a situation where you have the collateral which is going to potentially stop you from making those really big creative risks. Now, if you're someone who's considering, do I start a family? Do I go and put all that money into that house? Do I do the safe thing that my parents are telling me to do? Let me tell you now, there is no better time than when you're a young person to jump in and start a business and get yourself into the game. What that means is if you're going to have to put back potentially starting a family, if you're going to have to put back potentially buying that house and getting to the property game, you may be later than your friends in having that kind of stable living situation or having that stable family situation built for you. But what you do give yourself is the opportunity to be bold now, and the potential results of that could be a successful business. And when you build a successful business, it gives you the options to have all of those things later in life. Now, you may choose personal preference to pursue those things now. Totally fine, no judgment, and you do what works for you. But from my own journey, after choosing to delay starting a family and after choosing to delay purchasing properties and after choosing to delay settling down, I can tell you I've got a lot more options now. And my friends who chose to go down the route of get the job, buy the house, start the family are in a very, very different financial position to me now because I have chosen to invest in income generation and reinvest into income generation. And so now buying a property that I want is easy. I can buy my dream property if I want. And I'm still building for more and more goals for properties that work for me. And that's a great position to be in where I'm not really constrained by someone else choosing my income level. Hope you enjoyed that one. All right. I've got 2 minutes to wrap this up. Let's see if I've got another very quick one that I can do. What have we got here? Return to office is co-working the solution to our remote working loneliness. I like that. Could home co-working be the solution to remote work loneliness? That is a very interesting question. Here we've got an article from Inc. Basically saying, I assume working from home together, here we go, co-working together, basically sit next to your spouse and do the work together. Now, I think that's an okay way of working, but there's actually an even better concept than this. Now, I heard of something before COVID a number of years ago when we were talking about how we transform the future of work when everybody's internet access is democratized and everybody is using online tools for working. And we were actually a remote company for many years before COVID happened. And we kind of started learning the ropes of how our business and commerce was changing due to people working from home. Now, the interesting concept that I heard was actually called work pods or work hubs. And effectively, these are a bit like a co-working space where you go to them, you sit down, you get your work done, and you sit with a number of other colleagues that are not your own work colleagues from your own team. You build social relationships in the co-working space with people working for other companies. And most co-working spaces that you think about are, probably aimed at entrepreneurs who are running their own thing. Well, these work hubs are aimed at people who want to co-work who work for a company. And this is revolutionary because what it means is you don't have to commute all the way into a city to sit in an office to work with your colleagues. You would just commute to the local work hub, which maybe in your suburb may only be a couple of hundred meters from your house. And so you get that like work-home separation in that you're not working from a bedroom. But the other advantage is that you get to build social relationships with people in your workplace, even though they're not necessarily from your company. So I found that to be a very interesting concept, and I think that's a much smarter concept than working from home with other colleagues, or I don't know if you'd work from your home with other colleagues, but working next to family. I think it's very important to have separation from family and that polarity of like your workspace and also your home space. But I also think it's going to be better for you and for your spouse as well if you're getting out there and getting active and getting to somewhere that is outside of your home to do your work. Because as you know, and I'm sure you experienced this during the pandemic, if you're stuck in one place for too long, you start to get a little bit of cabin fever. So keep healthy. Let me know what you think in the comments of this. If you're watching the live stream, thanks so much for joining. Wonderful to have you here. If you've got something you want me to react to, drop it down in the comments or head along to ask.peter.tv and put in a react request, and I'll go ahead and check that out in a future one. All right, I'm going to say goodbye and see you next time. Cheers.